The wind howled across the frozen wastes of Kepler 442b, carrying ice crystals that stung like tiny needles against any exposed skin. Dr. Marcus Webb pulled his thermal coat tighter as he stood outside his medical outpost, watching the northern sky where something had fallen an hour ago. The crash had lit up his sensors like a supernova, and now his AI assistant was practically screaming warnings at him through his earpiece. "Dr. Webb, I must insist you reconsider," the AI said, her synthetic voice tight with what passed for concern in a machine. "The energy signature matches a Velkath bioship. These creatures are classified as exterminate on sight by 17 different species in the Galactic Council." Marcus climbed into his all-terrain rover anyway, checking his medical kit one more time before starting the engine. He had been on this frontier world for 3 years now, treating colonists and studying the local wildlife, earning a reputation among humans as brilliant, and among aliens as dangerously soft-hearted. The council species thought humans were insane. Who else would try to save creatures that could kill them? Who else would waste resources on animals when those resources could go to civilized species? But Marcus had never cared much for the council's opinions. They had called humans primitive and dangerous when Earth first made contact, and look how wrong they had been about that. The journey north took 40 minutes through terrain that would have killed anyone without proper equipment. Massive ice formations jutted from the ground like frozen teeth, and the temperature read -60°C on his dashboard. When he finally found the crash site, Marcus understood why his AI had been so insistent. The creature sprawled across shattered ice and torn metal was massive, easily 4 meters long, with 6 powerful limbs, ending in claws that could shred steel. Her scales were deep purple, fading to black, each one as large as Marcus's hand, and they were covered in burns and deep lacerations that wept dark blue blood onto the white snow. A Velkath. Marcus had seen images in council databases during his xenobiology training. They were apex predators from the outer systems, beings of pure violence according to official reports. They had destroyed colonies, killed thousands, turned entire moons into graveyards. But as Marcus approached carefully, medical scanner in hand, he saw something that made him pause. The wounds were wrong. These were plasma burns, council military weapons. The lacerations matched energy blade patterns used by council enforcers, not the kind of damage you got from hunting or fighting other animals. This Velkath had been attacked by someone with advanced military hardware. "Doctor, please," his AI urged. "Velkath kill on instinct. Her weakness is the only reason you are still alive. You must leave now and report this to council authorities." Marcus ignored her and moved closer, his scanner reading catastrophic damage to major organs and severe blood loss. Without treatment, this creature would be dead in less than 2 hours. The Velkath's eye opened, a brilliant golden orb with a slit pupil that fixed on Marcus with startling intelligence. He expected her to lunge, to strike, to at least try to kill him, but instead she just watched him with what looked almost like curiosity. Or maybe calculation. "Easy there," Marcus said softly, though he knew she could not understand him. "I am a doctor. I want to help you." He opened his medical kit and pulled out a plasma stabilizer, normally used on humans but adjustable for xenobiology. His hands moved with practiced efficiency as he began treating the worst wounds first. The human approach was always the same: stop the bleeding, stabilize the patient, worry about everything else later. The Velkath made a sound deep in her chest, something between a growl and a rumble, but she did not strike at him. Her claws, each one 30 centimeters of razor-sharp death, remained still against the ice. Marcus worked for an hour, in the freezing wind, sealing wounds with biofoam, administering synthetic blood compatible with her alien physiology, and using a neural stabilizer to keep her from going into shock. Sweat froze on his face, despite the cold, because the work was intense, and he knew one wrong move could end with those claws through his chest. But the wrong move never came. Instead, as he worked, the Velcath did something that no member of her species had ever been recorded doing. She retracted her claws fully and turned her head to give him better access to a wound on her neck. It was such a deliberate, cooperative gesture that Marcus stopped and stared. "You understand," he whispered, not really believing it. "You know I am trying to help." The golden eye fixed on him again, and Marcus swore he saw recognition there. Not animal cunning, but true sapient intelligence. His AI cut in sharply. "Dr. Webb, I am detecting 3 Council Enforcer ships entering orbit. They are broadcasting a priority alert for the elimination of a Class A hostile, designated Reaper 7. You have approximately 20 minutes before they reach this location." Marcus looked at the Velcath, at the intelligent being bleeding in the snow before him, hunted by ships with enough firepower to glass this entire region. "Can she be moved?" he asked. "Not without killing her," the AI replied. "Her injuries are too severe." Marcus made a decision that would change his life forever. He activated his emergency medical beacon, the one that designated this location as an active treatment zone under galactic medical law, creating a temporary protected space that even Council Enforcers could not legally violate without cause. "Doctor, this is madness," his AI protested. "You are protecting a creature that has killed thousands. Or protecting a person who has been hunted by those claiming she is a monster," Marcus countered. "Look at her wounds. She was running, not attacking. Someone wanted her dead, and I want to know why." He continued treating her as the Enforcer ships descended, their engines creating distant thunder across the ice. By the time the first ship landed 200 meters away, Marcus had stabilized the Velcath enough that she would survive the next few hours at least. 3 figures emerged from the ship, 2 heavily armed chitin soldiers with their insectoid bodies encased in combat armor, and 1 slender chitin female wearing the insignia of a council commander. She approached with careful, precise steps, her compound eyes gleaming. "Human doctor," she said, her voice translated through a collar device. "I am Commander Jara of the Council Enforcement Division. You are harboring a dangerous predator, classified for immediate termination." Marcus stood between her and the Velcath, knowing how absurd he must look, a single human in a thermal coat, facing down armed soldiers. "I am treating a patient," he said firmly. "Under galactic medical ethics, any being receiving emergency treatment is protected from harm until treatment is complete." "That thing is not a being," Jara said coldly. "It is a beast, a killer, a threat to civilized species everywhere." "Then why?" Marcus asked, gesturing to the wounds. "Was she fleeing? Why does she have council weapon signatures all over her? What was she running from, Commander?" Jara's expression, as much as a chitin face could show expression, hardened. "You do not understand the situation, human," she said. "This creature is part of a species that must be eliminated for the safety of the galaxy." "She has not tried to harm me once," Marcus said. "In fact, she has cooperated with treatment. That does not sound like a mindless killer." Behind him, the Velcath made that deep rumbling sound again, and Marcus felt, rather than saw her shift slightly, as if ready to defend him if needed. Jara clicked her mandibles in what might have been frustration. "You have 24 hours to complete your treatment," she said finally. "After that, I will return with authorization to seize this creature by any means necessary. Do not make the mistake of thinking your human sentimentality will protect you forever, Dr. Webb." She turned and marched back to her ship with her soldiers, and moments later they lifted off, leaving Marcus alone with the wounded Velcath and a ticking clock. He looked down at his patient and found those golden eyes watching him again. "Well," he said quietly, "I hope you are worth dying for." The Velcath rumbled softly, almost gently, and Marcus could have sworn she understood every word. 3 days passed in Marcus's medical outpost, and during that time, something remarkable happened. The Velcath lived, healed, and began to trust him. Marcus had moved her into his largest treatment bay, a space designed for examining the bigger indigenous creatures of Kepler 442b. She took up most of the room, even when curled carefully to avoid disturbing his equipment, and her presence filled the outpost with a strange energy that Marcus found himself growing comfortable with. He had started calling her Kira, after the third time she made a specific clicking chirping sound when he entered the room. It seemed like a name somehow, and when he used it, her golden eyes tracked him with what he swore was approval. On the second day, Marcus noticed something that changed everything. Kira was not just making random sounds, she was trying to communicate. The patterns were too consistent, too deliberately varied. She would make certain sounds when he brought food, different ones when he changed her bandages, and entirely unique vocalizations when his AI assistant spoke. She has a language, Marcus said to himself, standing in front of his computer terminal with growing excitement. The council says Velcath are non-sapient, but she has a complex communication system. His AI remained skeptical. Many non-sapient species have elaborate mating calls and territorial warnings, Doctor. This does not prove intelligence. But Marcus was already working, pulling up his translation software and adapting it for Kira's vocal range. Humans had developed incredible linguistic tools during their expansion into the galaxy. Programs that could find patterns in almost any communication system. It took him 16 hours of recording, analyzing, and adjusting before he had something that might work. A crude translation device that would attempt to convert Kira's sounds into galactic standard, and his words into something approximating her language. When he activated it and spoke, Kira's entire body went rigid. "Can you understand me?" His words came out of the device as a series of clicks, growls, and harmonic tones. Kira stared at the device, then at Marcus, her golden eyes wide with something that looked like shock. Then she spoke. The translator crackled and processed her sounds, struggling with the complexity, but finally words appeared on Marcus's screen and played through a speaker. "You make, talk, my voice, how?" Marcus felt his heart hammering. He was having a conversation with a species the council classified as animals. "I am a doctor," he said carefully, watching the translator work. "I study living things. I wanted to understand you." Kira shifted her massive body, sitting up despite her wounds still healing. She looked at him with an intensity that made Marcus acutely aware of how easily she could kill him even now. "Others not. Try understanding." Her translated words came haltingly, the device still learning her language structure. "Others only kill." "The council?" Marcus asked. "Yes, council." Kira's voice carried weight, even through translation. "They hunt. All my kind. Say we monsters. Say we dangerous." "Are you?" Marcus asked quietly, needing to know. Kira made a sound the translator could not process, something sad and bitter. "We defend. We run. They follow. They kill children, elders, sick ones. Who is monster?" Marcus pulled up a chair and sat down, his medical scanner forgotten. "Tell me what happened to you. Tell me why they were chasing you." Over the next hour, Kira told him a story that made Marcus's blood run cold. The Velcath were not the aggressive predators the council claimed. They were refugees, a dying species pushed from system to system by council extermination fleets. Their homeworlds had been rich in rare minerals, resources the council wanted without the inconvenience of dealing with native inhabitants. So they had created a narrative. The Velcath were dangerous beasts, killers without reason or mercy, threats that needed to be eliminated for the safety of civilized space. The truth was simpler and darker. It was genocide dressed up as pest control. "I was at Place of Science, Council Place," Kira continued, her words becoming clearer as the translator learned. "They capture my kind, do experiments, hurt us, study us, try to use our bodies for weapons. What kind of weapons? Marcus asked. Kira hesitated, and Marcus noticed the pause. Something flickered in her eyes, something guarded. Our strength, our speed, she stopped, seeming to choose her words carefully. Our biology, they want to copy it, use it. And you escaped? I freed others, took data cores with proof, ran, Kira said. They chased me 3 systems, shoot ship, crash here, then you find. Marcus stood and paced, his mind racing through implications. The Council was committing one of the worst crimes in galactic law, while hiding it behind species classifications and propaganda. I need to see this proof, he said. Kira gestured with her snout to a pile of twisted metal in the corner, wreckage from her ship that Marcus had brought in. Data cores, in ship remains, but damaged. Marcus spent the next several hours carefully extracting 3 small crystalline devices from the wreckage. They were Council tech, high-end research station equipment, and they were partially melted from the crash. His AI warned him immediately. Doctor, accessing classified Council data without authorization is a criminal offense. So is genocide, Marcus replied flatly. He began working on the cores using human data recovery techniques, methods that were less elegant than Council technology, but far more creative. Humans had a gift for improvising solutions, for finding ways to fix things that should not be fixable. While he worked, Kira watched him with those unreadable golden eyes. Why you help? She asked suddenly. You are small, weak compared to me. I could kill you easy. Why you risk everything? Marcus looked up from his work. Because it is the right thing to do. Your Council not think so. The Council is not my species, Marcus said firmly. Humans have our own ideas about right and wrong. We were called primitive and dangerous once too, you know. We understand what it is like to be judged unfairly. Kira made that rumbling sound again, the one Marcus was starting to recognize as thoughtful. Humans strange. Council says you too emotional, too caring for own good. They say that like it is a weakness, Marcus smiled. We think it is our strength. On the evening of the 3rd day, Marcus finally cracked the first data core. What he saw made him physically ill. Video files showed Velcats strapped to tables, conscious and aware as Council scientists performed horrific experiments. Audio logs detailed plans to harvest their genetic material for military applications. Documents outlined the systematic elimination campaign disguised as pest control. And there were maps, locations of Velcath populations, colonies, refugee groups, all marked for processing. Marcus was about to access the 2nd core when his communication system exploded with alerts. Commander Jara's face appeared on his screen, her compound eyes gleaming with cold anger. Dr. Webb, you have violated the terms of our agreement. I am detecting unauthorized access to classified materials. I am detecting evidence of war crimes, Marcus shot back. You are meddling in affairs beyond your understanding, human, Zara said. That creature has manipulated you with lies. Marcus glanced at Kira, who had gone very still, her claws extending unconsciously. Then let me broadcast what I have found, Marcus said. Let the galaxy decide who is lying. You will do no such thing, Zara's voice went deadly cold. I am coming to your location now, with authorization to seize both the creature and all classified materials by any means necessary. Resist, and you will be classified as hostile. The screen went dark. Marcus looked at his equipment, at the data cores, at the evidence that could expose the Council's crimes. He had maybe 20 minutes before Jara arrived with enough firepower to level his entire outpost. His hands flew across his keyboard, uploading the contents of the first data core to every human diplomatic channel, every news network, every public forum he could access. The Council could cut him off, but not before the data reached human space. 15 minutes later, with half the evidence transmitted, His communication array exploded in sparks as Council jamming hit it, but it was enough. Already, message alerts were flooding in from human colonies. Outrage, demands for explanations, calls for investigation. Humans had seen the videos, read the logs, and they were not happy. Commander Jara's ship landed hard outside, and Marcus heard boots on metal as soldiers surrounded his outpost. He stood between Kira and the door, his heart pounding, but his resolve firm. "Doctor, you should run," Kira said quietly, her voice carrying genuine concern through the translator. "You done enough, gave us chance, now save yourself." "Humans don't abandon people," Marcus said, emphasizing the last word. "And you are people, Kira, whatever the Council says." Kira's golden eyes widened, and for a moment, Marcus saw something in them that looked almost like tears. The door exploded inward, and Jara strode in with 4 heavily armed soldiers. "Marcus Webb," she announced formally, "you are charged with harboring a hostile entity and illegally accessing classified information. Surrender immediately." "The information is already out," Marcus said. "Human authorities have it. You cannot bury this." "Perhaps not," Jara conceded, "but I can ensure you do not spread any more lies. Soldiers, seize him and prepare to terminate the creature." 2 soldiers moved toward Marcus while the other 2 aimed heavy weapons at Kira. And then Kira moved. She was wounded, still healing, but the speed at which she struck was terrifying. One soldier went flying across the room before he could fire, his armor crumpling under her claws. The second barely got a shot off before Kira disarmed him with a strike that should have been impossible for something her size. She placed herself between Marcus and Jara, her body a living shield, her claws fully extended. "You want him?" Kira growled, the translator making her sound far more threatening than her normal voice. "You go through me." Jara's soldiers regrouped, weapons trained on Kira, and the commander herself drew an energy blade. "So the beast shows her true nature," Jara said. "This only proves our point, Dr. Webb. They are violent, uncontrollable, dangerous." "She is protecting someone who protected her," Marcus said, stepping forward despite Kira trying to push him back. "That is not violence, that is loyalty." "Loyalty?" Jara laughed, a harsh chittering sound. "Beasts do not have loyalty." "Then you have never understood what makes something a person," Marcus replied. For a long moment, the outpost was silent, except for the hum of weapons charging. Then Jirara's communicator buzzed, and her expression changed as she listened to the message. She looked at Marcus with something like grudging respect. "Your people work quickly, human. I have orders to stand down pending investigation." "So we are free to go?" Marcus asked. "For now," Jirara said coldly, "but this is not over. The Council will not allow this challenge to stand." She gestured to her soldiers, and they withdrew, leaving Marcus and Kira alone in the damaged outpost. As soon as they were gone, Kira's legs buckled, and Marcus rushed to support her massive weight. She had used the last of her strength in that confrontation. "You should not have done that," he said gently, checking her wounds. "You reopened half your injuries." "You should not have helped me," Kira replied. "Now you are hunted too." Marcus smiled. "Then I guess we will have to watch each other's backs." Kira made that rumbling sound again, but this time it sounded almost like a laugh. The human diplomatic fleet arrived 6 days later, but those 6 days changed everything for Marcus Webb and the galaxy. Within hours of Marcus's data transmission, human colonies across 12 systems erupted in protest. Humanity had experienced prejudice and discrimination during their early contact with the Council, and they recognized genocide when they saw it, even when it was dressed up in official classifications and security protocols. The evidence Marcus had recovered spread like wildfire through human networks. Videos of Velkath prisoners being experimented on, documents outlining extermination quotas, communications between council officials discussing how to hide their activities from bleeding heart species like humans. But while the political firestorm raged in council chambers and human parliaments, Marcus was focused on something else: the mystery of Kira herself. It started on the fourth night, when Marcus woke to find his computer terminal active, displaying files he had not opened. Kira sat in front of the screen, her massive clawed hand somehow delicately manipulating the controls with a precision that should have been impossible for her physiology. Marcus said quietly, not wanting to startle her. She turned quickly, those golden eyes wide with something that looked almost like guilt, and the computer screen went dark. "I was checking," she said through the translator, her words careful, making sure data is spreading correctly. Marcus approached slowly, studying her. "You know how to use council computer systems?" "I learned at research station," Kira said, but her body language, the way her tail curled, how her claws retracted and extended nervously, told Marcus she was not being entirely truthful. He sat down at the terminal and brought up the medical scans he had taken of her during treatment. Scans he had been reviewing obsessively for days, because something about them bothered him. "Your neural patterns are unusual," he said, pointing to the display. "I have been comparing them to the limited Velcath data in council databases, and yours are different, more complex, with structures that look almost like technological integration." Kira went very still. "What are you saying?" "I am saying you have been augmented somehow," Marcus said gently. "Cybernetic or biological modifications. I cannot tell which, because I have never seen anything quite like it, but there is something in your brain that is not natural." The silence stretched between them like a physical thing. "There are things you do not need to know, Marcus," Kira finally said, her voice quiet through the translator. "Things that would make you afraid." "I am not easily frightened," Marcus replied. "You should be," Kira said, and there was something in her tone that made Marcus's skin prickle. "You think you know what I am, wounded refugee, victim of council crimes, but you do not know everything." "Then tell me," Marcus urged. "Let me help you with whatever this is." Kira stood, her full height making the room feel small. "Some secrets protect people, Dr. Webb. Some truths are dangerous to know." Before Marcus could respond, his long-range communicator activated. Ambassador Chen's face appeared, a human woman in her 60s, with steel gray hair and sharper eyes. "Dr. Webb," she said crisply, "I am Ambassador Patricia Chen of the Human Diplomatic Corps. We are 3 days out from your position with a full escort fleet. Congratulations on starting an interstellar incident." "Ambassador," Marcus said, "I only did what was right." "I know," Chen smiled slightly. "That is the most human thing I have heard all week. The council is in chaos. Some species are calling for your arrest. Others are demanding full investigations. And the humans are threatening to withdraw from 3 major trade agreements unless the Velcath situation is addressed." "And?" Marcus asked. "And you have become the most famous doctor in the galaxy," Chen said. "Council hardliners have declared you a fugitive, claiming you stole classified information. I exposed war crimes, which makes you either a hero or a criminal, depending on who you ask," Chen said. "Here is the situation. We can protect you in human space, but Council territory is now extremely dangerous for you. I am recommending immediate extraction." Marcus looked at Kira, who was listening intently. "What about Kira?" he asked. "What happens to her?" "The Velcath refugee situation is being negotiated," Chen said carefully. "If we can prove they are sapient and were unlawfully targeted, we may be able to force the Council to grant them protected status." "May be able to?" Marcus repeated. "That is not good enough." "It is the best I can offer right now," Chen said. "Doctor, you need to understand the political realities here. You have opened a massive can of worms, and there are powerful forces that want it closed again." After Chen signed off, Marcus sat in silence for a long time. "You should go," Kira said finally. "Take their protection. You have done more than anyone could ask." "I am not leaving you," Marcus said firmly. "Why?" Kira's voice carried genuine confusion. "I am the one who brought danger to your door." "Because leaving would be wrong," Marcus said simply. "And because I think you are hiding something important, something that might help your people, and I want to understand what it is." Kira's golden eyes studied him. "You are stubborn for such a small creature." "It is a human trait," Marcus smiled. Over the next 2 days, Marcus continued analyzing the remaining data cores, while also studying Kira's neural patterns. What he found disturbed him deeply. The experiments the Council had performed were not just cruel, they were purposeful. They had been trying to understand Velcath biology at a fundamental level, mapping their neural structures and genetic code with military precision. But more concerning were the gaps in the data, references to original programming and baseline modifications that suggested the Velcath themselves had been altered at some point in their species' history. When Marcus confronted Kira about it, she became defensive. "Ancient history," she said, "not relevant to now." "If the Council knows something about your species that I do not, it could be very relevant," Marcus argued. "Kira, I'm trying to help, but I cannot do that if you keep hiding things from me." "Some things are hidden for good reason," Kira snapped, her claws scoring deep marks in the metal floor. "You want to understand why the Council fears us so much?" "Yes," Marcus said, not backing down despite her display of aggression. Kira's entire body trembled. "We were made, Marcus, not evolved, not natural, made by something old and powerful as weapons, tools of war for a civilization that died millions of years ago." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. "What?" "Every Velcath carries modifications in our genes," Kira continued, her voice bitter. "Enhancements to make us faster, stronger, deadlier. We were designed to fight, to kill, to be unstoppable. And deep in our biology are command protocols that could activate at any time and turn us into exactly what the Council fears." Marcus felt his mouth go dry. "And the Council knows this?" "They discovered it during their experiments," Kira said. "That is why they want us eliminated, not because of what we have done, but because of what we could become if those protocols activated." "Could they?" Marcus asked. "Could you lose control?" "We have fought our programming for generations," Kira said. "Chosen to be more than weapons, more than tools. But yes, the risk exists, buried in our genetic code like a time bomb." She looked at Marcus with eyes that carried the weight of millennia. "Now you understand why I said some truths are dangerous. Now you see why I did not want to tell you." Marcus sat down heavily, his mind racing through implications. If Kira was telling the truth, then the Velcath situation was far more complex than he had thought. They were victims of genocide, yes, but they were also potentially dangerous in ways that could not be ignored. "How many Velcath know about this?" he asked. "All adults know," Kira said. "It is taught when we come of age, the truth of what we are and the responsibility to never become what we were designed to be." "And in all your history, have the protocols ever activated?" "Not since we gained true sapience thousands of years ago," Kira said. "We learned to suppress them, to override the base programming with choice and will." "But the Council does not trust that?" "Would you?" Kira asked quietly. "If you knew an entire species was a biological weapon system waiting to activate, would you trust them to stay dormant?" Marcus considered the question seriously. If they had proven for thousands of years that they could control it, yes. Would? Most species would not, Kira said. Most species think like the Council. Better to eliminate the threat than risk it. Most species are not human, Marcus replied. We believe in choice, Kira, in the power of beings to define themselves by their actions, not their origins. Earth's history is full of people overcoming genetic predispositions and cultural programming to become something better. Even if the programming could kill billions if it activated. Even then, Marcus said firmly, the question is not whether you could be dangerous. Anything alive could be dangerous, given the right circumstances. The question is whether you choose to be. And from everything I have seen, you and your people choose peace. Kira stared at him. You truly believe that? I do, Marcus said, and more importantly, I think I can help you. Help us how? You said the protocols are in your genetic code. What if they could be removed? What if we could edit them out entirely? Impossible, Kira said. They are woven through our entire genome. Remove them, and we might not even be Velkath anymore. Or you might just be Velkath without the weapon protocols, Marcus countered. Human genetic science is advanced. We have done things the Council said were impossible before. Let me try, Kira. Let me see if there is a way to free your people from this threat permanently. Kira's expression, as much as her alien face could show expression, wavered between hope and fear. Before she could answer, every alarm in the outpost began screaming. Marcus's sensors showed multiple council ships dropping out of hyperspace, more than a dozen vessels forming a blockade around Kepler 442b. Ambassador Chen's face appeared on the emergency channel, her expression grim. Dr. Webb, we have a situation. Council forces have declared your location a quarantine zone. They are claiming the Velkath carries a biological weapon and must be contained. That is a lie, Marcus said. They have also issued a kill order, Chen continued, her voice tight. Not just for the Velkath, but for you as well. You know too much, and they cannot risk you spreading more information. Marcus looked at Kira, then at the ships surrounding his world. How long until your fleet arrives? 18 hours, Chen said. Can you survive that long? We will have to, Marcus replied. As the channel closed, Kira moved close to him. This is my fault. I have brought death to your door. No, Marcus said, already moving to pack essential equipment. They brought death when they decided genocide was acceptable. Now we just have to survive long enough to prove them wrong. Where will we go? Kira asked. Marcus pulled up a map of Kepler 442b's wilderness regions. There is a canyon system 200 kilometers north, deep enough to hide in, complex enough to lose pursuit. If we can reach it before they land ground forces, we might have a chance. You would run with me? Kira asked. Leave your life, your work, everything? Marcus met her golden eyes. I told you before, humans don't abandon people. Besides, I still need to figure out how to remove those protocols from your genome. For the first time since he had met her, Kira made a sound that the translator rendered as laughter, deep, rumbling, and genuine. You are either the bravest human I have ever met, she said, or the most foolish. Why not both? Marcus grinned, shouldering his pack. Outside, the first council landing craft began their descent, and Marcus and Kira fled into the frozen wastes together, two fugitives against an empire, bound by nothing more than trust and the stubborn human belief that doing the right thing mattered more than being safe. The frozen canyons of Kepler 442b became their refuge and their prison over the following days. Marcus and Kira moved through ice tunnels and snow-filled ravines, staying ahead of council search parties that seemed to multiply by the hour. The first 3 days were the hardest. Marcus's equipment was limited, food was scarce, and the temperature regularly dropped to lethal levels for unprotected humans. Only Kira's body heat kept him alive during the worst nights. Her massive form curled around him like a living furnace, while ice storms raged outside their shelter. But humanity was rallying. Through his salvage communicator, Marcus received constant updates from Ambassador Chen and other human representatives. Protests had erupted across human space, demanding the Council cease their hunt and negotiate in good faith. You have become a symbol, Chen told him during one brief transmission. The human who risked everything for an alien species. Social media is calling you the conscience of the galaxy. I am just a doctor trying to keep a patient alive, Marcus replied, his breath fogging in the freezing air. Which is exactly why people care, Chen said. You are not a politician or a soldier. You are someone doing what is right, because it is right. That resonates with humans, and apparently with several other species too. Indeed, cracks were showing in Council solidarity. The Draxi, a peaceful herbivore species, had formally demanded an investigation into Velkath treatment, and the aquatic Neptari had recalled their ambassador in protest. But none of that mattered if Marcus and Kira could not survive long enough to see it through. On the fourth day, they had their first real confrontation with Council forces. A strike team found their position in a narrow ice canyon. 6 heavily armed soldiers with orders to eliminate both fugitives. They came at dawn, when Marcus was checking their supplies and Kira was supposed to be resting. The first indication of danger was a plasma bolt that missed Marcus's head by centimeters, melting a hole in the ice wall behind him. "Contact!" one soldier shouted. "Target acquired." Marcus dove for cover, but Kira was already moving. What happened next burned itself into Marcus's memory forever. Kira exploded from the cave entrance with a speed that should have been impossible for something her size. Her claws caught the first soldier before he could fire again, sending him flying into the canyon wall with enough force to crack his armor. The second soldier got off a shot that caught Kira in the shoulder, but she barely slowed. She disarmed him with one strike and disabled him with another, moving with precision that spoke of extensive combat training. 3 more soldiers tried to flank her, coordinating their fire, but Kira anticipated their movements. She used the terrain like a weapon, causing a small avalanche that separated them, then struck each one individually with controlled brutality. The final soldier, seeing his entire team defeated in less than a minute, tried to run. Kira let him go. She stood among the disabled soldiers, breathing hard, blue blood dripping from her shoulder wound, her golden eyes tracking the fleeing soldier until he disappeared from view. "You could have killed them," Marcus said quietly, emerging from cover with his medical kit. "They came here to kill us, but you only disabled them." "Killing should be last choice," Kira said, wincing as Marcus examined her new wound. "Not first instinct." "But you were trained for combat," Marcus said, carefully sealing the plasma burn. "That was not self-defense. That was military precision." Kira looked away. "I told you, we were made as weapons. Some of us learned to use that programming without letting it control us." Marcus finished treating her wound in silence, but his mind was racing. Kira was not just any Velkath. She was something special, someone with capabilities that went beyond what she had revealed. That night, huddled together in a new cave while another ice storm raged outside, Marcus finally asked the question that had been building. "Who were you, Kira? Before all this, before you became a refugee, who were you among your people?" Kira was quiet for a long time, her body radiating warmth that kept Marcus alive in the killing cold. "I was soldier," she finally said. "Elite warrior, trained from young age to protect our people from those who would hunt us. The augmentations you found in my scans were not forced on me. I volunteered for them, accepted additional modifications to make me better protector." "So you are not just a victim of Council experiments," Marcus said. "You went to that research station on purpose." "Yes," Kira admitted. "Intelligence said they were developing something dangerous. Weapon that could activate our command protocols remotely, turn all Velkath into mindless killers. I infiltrated the station, confirmed the project existed, freed the prisoners, and stole the data." "The data I transmitted," Marcus said. "Yes, but there was more," Kira's voice dropped. Data I have not shared yet, because it is too dangerous. Marcus sat up. What kind of data? Activation codes, Kira said quietly. The Council found a way to trigger our weapon protocols, to override our will, and turn us into what we were originally designed to be. They were testing it on prisoners, seeing if they could weaponize us before eliminating us. Marcus felt cold. That had nothing to do with the temperature. And these codes are in the data cores you escaped with? Yes, Kira said, which is why they want me dead so badly. If those codes are destroyed, their weapon project fails. If the codes reach other Council factions, it could start a war. If they reach Velkath's survivors, we might be able to develop countermeasures. Or someone could use them to turn all Velkath into living weapons, Marcus said, understanding the stakes now. Now you see why I kept secrets, Kira said. Why some truths are too dangerous to share freely. Marcus considered this for a long moment. Does the activation code work on you? Kira's entire body tensed. I do not know. I have never been exposed to it, and I do not want to find out. But theoretically someone could broadcast those codes and turn you into what? What happens if the protocols activate? From test subjects I witnessed at the station, Kira said, her voice hollow. Complete personality override. Subject becomes pure combat machine, identifying all non-Velkath as threats, and eliminating them without hesitation or mercy. It is our worst nightmare, becoming the monsters the Council claims we are. Marcus moved closer to her, placing a hand on her scaled forearm. Then we make sure it never happens. We get that data to people who can help. Human scientists who can develop countermeasures. Maybe even remove the protocols entirely. You still believe that is possible? Kira asked. After everything I've told you? I have to, Marcus said, because the alternative, accepting that an entire sapient species must live under this threat forever or be eliminated, is unacceptable. Kira made that deep rumbling sound, but this time it carried warmth. You are a strange creature, Marcus Webb. You should hate me, fear me, want me gone. Instead you offer hope I stopped believing in long ago. That is what humans do, Marcus said. We offer hope when everyone else offers despair. On the 7th day, everything changed. Ambassador Chen's transmission came through with urgency that bordered on panic. Dr. Webb, human fleet has arrived, but we have major problem. Council hardliners have issued ultimatum. They will use orbital bombardment on your position in 6 hours, unless you surrender the Velkath. They would kill me too, Marcus said. They are claiming acceptable collateral damage, Chen replied grimly. Marcus, our fleet cannot stop an orbital strike without starting a war. You need to move to extraction point immediately. We can save you. And Kira? Chen's silence spoke volumes. No, Marcus said flatly. I will not abandon her. Doctor, please be reasonable. Ambassador, with respect, humans do not define reasonable as leaving innocent beings to die, Marcus said. Tell me there is another option. Chen sighed. There might be. Velkath survivors have been located in the Void Reach, unmapped region beyond Council territory. If you could reach them with the data cores, you would be beyond Council jurisdiction, and the evidence could be preserved. How far? Marcus asked. 3 weeks by fastest ship, Chen said, and the route goes through dangerous space, pirate territory, unstable jump points, regions even Council patrols avoid. Can you get us a ship? Already arranged, Chen said. A human smuggler named Captain Rodriguez owes me favors. She is landing at your coordinates in 2 hours with a fast courier vessel. After that, you are on your own until you reach the Void Reach. Marcus looked at Kira. What do you think? I think we have no better options, Kira said, and I think your people are more loyal than mine dared hope. Then we run again, Marcus said, but this time we run toward something, not just away. The extraction was chaotic. Council ships detected Captain Rodriguez's landing and scrambled interceptors, but the smuggler was skilled. Her ship, the Swift Mercy, lifted off with Marcus and Kira aboard, just as the first enemy vessels arrived. What followed was a harrowing chase through Kepler 442b's upper atmosphere, with Rodriguez performing maneuvers that left Marcus's stomach churning and Kira's claws embedded in the deck plating. "Hold on to your lunch, Doc," Rodriguez called from the cockpit. "This is going to get bumpy." They made the jump to hyperspace, with council ships less than a kilometer behind them, and the proximity alarms screaming warnings about dangerous gravitational interference. When they finally emerged in normal space 3 systems away, all 3 of them were shaking. "Welcome to life on the run," Rodriguez said cheerfully. "It gets easier after the first dozen near-death experiences." Marcus and Kira exchanged a look, and despite everything, the danger, the uncertainty, the overwhelming odds against them, they both made sounds the translator interpreted as laughter. They were alive, they were together, and they were heading toward hope. That would have to be enough. Over the following days, as they traveled deeper into uncharted space, Marcus worked on analyzing the activation codes from Kira's data cores, while also mapping her genetic structure. He was looking for weaknesses, ways to interfere with the protocols, anything that might give them an advantage. Kira watched him work with those intelligent golden eyes, and Marcus noticed how she would sometimes move closer when he was focused, as if his presence gave her comfort. "You are not afraid of me," she said one evening, "even knowing what I could become." "Should I be?" Marcus asked. "Most beings would be," Kira said. "Even my own people sometimes look at warriors like me with fear." "I see someone who has spent her life fighting her programming to protect others," Marcus said, meeting her eyes. "That is not frightening. That is admirable." Kira moved closer, her massive head level with Marcus's. "If codes activate, if I become monster, you must promise to stop me." "I promise to find a way to bring you back," Marcus said instead. "That may not be possible." "Then I will make it possible," Marcus said firmly. "That is what humans do, Kira. We make impossible things happen because we refuse to accept that they cannot be done." Kira's rumble was soft, almost affectionate. "I believe you might actually mean that." "I do," Marcus said. Outside the ship's viewports, unknown stars glittered in the darkness, and somewhere ahead lay the void reach and whatever answers or dangers awaited them there. But for now, in this moment, they were safe. The void reach was everything the maps promised and nothing Marcus had expected. A region of space where stars clustered so densely that navigation became an art form, where ancient nebulae created interference that made sensors unreliable, and where species that wanted to disappear could do so completely. Captain Rodriguez guided the Swift Mercy through the maze of gravitational anomalies with expertise born of years smuggling goods past Council patrols. And after 23 days of traveling, they finally reached the coordinates Kira had provided. The Velkath refuge world hung in space like a jewel, a planet of purple forests and silver oceans, orbited by 2 moons that cast strange shadows across its surface. "Home," Kira whispered, her voice carrying emotion the translator struggled to convey. As they descended, Marcus saw signs of civilization hidden carefully beneath the canopy, structures that blended with the natural environment to look like geological features, a people who had learned to hide in plain sight. The landing was met by a dozen Velkath, and Marcus felt his breath catch. Seeing one Velkath was impressive, but seeing many together was overwhelming. Beings of power and grace, each one unique in coloring and size, each one watching the ship with those intelligent golden eyes. An elder Velkath approached as the ramp lowered, larger than Kira, with scales that had faded to pale lavender with age. "Kira," the elder said, her voice deep and resonant, "you live. We feared you lost." "I was saved," Kira replied, gesturing to Marcus, "by human doctor who risked everything." The elder studied Marcus, with eyes that seemed to see through him. Human, your species has created much chaos in council space on our behalf. Your species deserves justice, Marcus said, trying to keep his voice steady under that penetrating gaze. Perhaps, the elder said, but you have brought danger too. Council ships followed your trajectory. They mass at the edge of Void Reach even now. How many? Kira asked urgently. 40 vessels, the elder replied. More than we have ever seen assembled against us. They intend to end this, to eliminate our last refuge. They had come so far, survived so much, only to lead their enemies right to the people they were trying to save. The data cores, he said quickly. Kira escaped with evidence that could expose what the Council has done, if we can broadcast it. We have seen your evidence, the elder interrupted. Humans transmitted much of it before Council censors could block it. It has created division in Council, but not enough to stop their military response. Then what can we do? Marcus asked. The elder looked at Kira. You must tell him the full truth now, all of it, including what you carry. Kira's entire body tensed. Elder, he does not need to know. He has earned the right to know, the elder said firmly, and we need his human cleverness if we are to survive what comes. Kira turned to Marcus, and he saw fear in her eyes for the first time since they had met. Marcus, she said quietly, there is something else on the data cores, something I did not tell you about. The activation codes, Marcus said. You already told me about those. Not just codes, Kira said, also a map. Genetic map showing every Velcath in existence, their locations, their genetic signatures. The Council was planning to use it with orbital weapons, targeting our DNA specifically. Genocide from space with no witnesses. Marcus felt sick. They could kill all of you simultaneously? Yes, the elder confirmed, which is why they cannot allow that data to exist outside their control. They will destroy this world and everyone on it to ensure the map is eliminated. Then we destroy it, Marcus said. Delete it, wipe the cores. That map is also our only hope, Kira said. It shows exactly which genes contain the weapon protocols, which sequences make us vulnerable to activation codes. With it, you might be able to develop the gene therapy you theorized, to remove the protocols permanently. Marcus stared at her. You kept this from me because it is double-edged sword, Kira said. Save us or damn us, depending on who controls it. The elder gestured toward a structure carved into a massive tree. Come, we have prepared workspace for you, Dr. Webb. Our scientists will assist however they can, but we have 18 hours at most before Council forces arrive. 18 hours to cure an entire species of genetic programming millions of years old, Marcus said. That is impossible. Then do impossible thing, the elder said, a hint of something that might have been a smile in her voice. Are you not human? Is that not what your species does? What followed was the most intense work of Marcus's life. He dove into the genetic maps with 3 Velcath scientists assisting. Their knowledge of their own biology combined with his human creativity, creating a synergy neither species could have achieved alone. The weapon protocols were intricate, woven through Velcath DNA in ways that seemed deliberately complex. Ancient programmers had not wanted their weapons disabled easily. But they had not anticipated human stubbornness. Marcus found patterns in the chaos, sequences that repeated, genetic markers that seemed to anchor the protocols. With each discovery, he and the Velcath scientists developed countermeasures, gene therapy sequences that could theoretically deactivate the protocols without damaging core Velcath biology. Theoretically, Marcus said after 12 hours of continuous work, I have a treatment that might work, but it has never been tested, and the margin for error is razor thin. Test on me, Kira said immediately. Kira, no, Marcus protested. If this fails, it could kill you or trigger the very protocols we are trying to eliminate. Better to risk one life than species, Kira said firmly. Besides, I trust you. Those 3 words, I trust you, carried weight that made Marcus's chest tighten. If I do this, he said quietly, and it works, you will need to transmit the treatment data to all Velcath simultaneously, every member of your species undergoing gene therapy at the same moment. Why simultaneously? One of the scientists asked. Because, Marcus said, grimly, when I reviewed the activation codes, I realized they are not just targeting individuals. They are designed to cascade. Activate one Velcath, and the signal spreads to others nearby, creating chain reaction. How do you know this? The elder asked. Because I have been studying how to interrupt the cascade, Marcus said. And I realize the Council has been planning to use it. Activate a few Velcath near population centers, let the cascade spread, then point to the rampage as justification for elimination. The room fell silent. They would sacrifice their own people to frame us, Kira said, her voice hollow. They have already committed genocide, Marcus replied. Mass murder is just an escalation. Then we have no choice, the elder said. Proceed with treatment, Dr. Webb. If it works on Kira, we transmit it to all Velcath immediately. If it fails, it will not fail, Marcus said with more confidence than he felt. The treatment process took 3 hours. Marcus carefully administered the gene therapy while monitoring Kira's vital signs and neural activity with equipment hastily adapted for Velcath physiology. For the first 2 hours, nothing seemed to happen. Then Kira convulsed. Her body seized, muscles spasming as the gene therapy attacked the ancient protocols embedded in her DNA. Marcus watched in horror as her readings spiked wildly, her brain activity showing patterns he had never seen before. Marcus, she gasped through the pain. Something happening. Her eyes began to glow with inner light, and her claws extended involuntarily. For a terrifying moment, Marcus thought the treatment had activated the protocols instead of disabling them. Then Kira screamed, a sound of anguish and release combined, and collapsed. Marcus rushed to her side. Kira, talk to me. Her golden eyes opened, and they were different somehow, clearer, unburdened. It worked, she whispered. I can feel it. The protocols are gone. For first time in my life, I am truly free. The Velcath scientists confirmed it with scans. The weapon programming had been successfully deactivated without damaging Kira's core biology. Transmit the treatment, the elder ordered, now, before Council arrives. The transmission went out across hidden networks to every Velcath in existence, thousands of individuals scattered across dozens of worlds, all receiving the cure simultaneously. And that was when Commander Jara arrived. Her fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, surrounding the refugee world with overwhelming firepower. The communication came through on all frequencies. Velcath creatures and human criminal Marcus Webb, you are surrounded. You have no escape. Surrender the stolen data immediately, or we will commence orbital bombardment. We cannot fight that many ships, one of the Velcath defenders said quietly. We do not need to fight, Marcus said, an idea forming. We need to show them their weapon is useless. He opened a channel to Jara's flagship. Commander, this is Dr. Marcus Webb. Surrender, human, Jara replied coldly. I have a better idea, Marcus said. You want to activate the Velcath weapon protocols to prove they are dangerous, correct? To justify eliminating them? Silence. Then, how did you know? Because I know how tyrants think, Marcus said. So here is my offer. Broadcast your activation codes. Try to turn the Velcath into weapons. Marcus, what are you doing? Kira hissed. Trusting human ingenuity, he whispered back, then louder. Go ahead, Commander. Use your weapon. Let the galaxy see what happens. There was a long pause. Then Jara said, You are bluffing. Only one way to find out, Marcus challenged. Another pause, then the activation signal broadcasted across all frequencies, the codes that should have turned every Velcath into mindless killing machines. Nothing happened. On the refugee world, Velcath stood calmly, unaffected. Across the galaxy, reports came in of Velcath everywhere, remaining completely normal, the activation codes failing utterly. Impossible, Jara breathed. Not impossible, Marcus said. Just human. We cured them, Commander. We removed the weapon protocols from their entire species. Your justification for genocide just evaporated. He switched to a wider broadcast, one that would reach human space and sympathetic council species. Let the record show that when given the choice between weaponizing an innocent species and saving them, humanity chose salvation. Let it also show that council leadership chose genocide and cover-up. Within minutes, the communications channels exploded with responses. Human fleets accelerated toward the Void Reach. Sympathetic council species demanded Jara's recall, and the political situation shifted dramatically. Jara's voice came through one final time, tight with barely controlled rage. This is not over, Dr. Webb. Yes, Commander, Marcus replied calmly. It is. The council fleet withdrew, their purpose nullified, their crimes exposed. In the aftermath, Marcus sat with Kira under the purple sky of her homeworld, both of them exhausted but alive. You did it, Kira said softly. You freed my entire species from a curse we carried for millions of years. We did it, Marcus corrected. Your people's knowledge combined with human stubbornness. Kira made that rumbling sound, the one Marcus now recognized as laughter. The council was wrong about many things, but especially about your species. How so? They said humans are dangerously compassionate, that you care too much for your own. Good, Kira said. They were wrong. You are not dangerously compassionate. You are courageously compassionate, and that makes all the difference. Marcus smiled. I think that might be the nicest thing anyone has ever said about humanity. They sat in comfortable silence as the twin moons rose, casting silver light across a world that was finally, truly safe. The council would eventually grant the Velcath protected status. Human diplomatic pressure, and the evidence Marcus had gathered, left them no choice. Marcus stayed on the refuge world, working with Velcath scientists to establish medical facilities and ensure the gene therapy remained stable across generations. And Kira stayed with him, no longer burdened by deadly secrets, no longer defined by ancient programming. They had healed the beast, exposed the hidden truth, and in doing so, proven that choice mattered more than origin, that compassion could be strength, and that sometimes the most human thing to do was to believe in the impossible until it became real. The galaxy would never look at humans or Velcath quite the same way again.